was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't had to die to meet the devil.
I remember I was only 13 when I met the demon. Gave me a deuce and a bundle of cocaine. Told me to sell to my people, make sure you keep him fiending. If any try to shoot you, make sure that you leave him leaking. He said,
I'ma hold you down when problems pop up.
how you got me moving this dope? Want me in lockup? He said,
don't you want the Benz vertible with the top cut? Yeah. Stop bitching, get in that kitchen, let it rock up. Bitches love the dope boy, especially when it's pop up. I know you know Ron.
You the plug from by the block up?
I'll tell you a little secret, make sure that you keep your mouth shut. Ron got a Lexus, crib in Philly and Texas. Crystals up Bahamas, just got a bit for his mama. He fucking up in commas, be honest, he's seeing decent though.
I hear you, but I just seen Ron about a week ago. Fat, he ain't looking too good, his knees is kinda slow. I asked him why the struggle, he got stuck up for his bundle. But them 6 hollow tips in his legs what made him crumble.
Means he got the house and mama is living good.
Said the feds took it all, he right back in the hood. I see you try to play me, you gave us crack in the 80s. Made us abort our babies and making hoes out our ladies. I know you got me gravy, but Satan, you must be crazy. It's gonna take more than cause when to amaze me. I seen niggas shoot for the stars, but being lazy. Never get their head at the cloud, so you don't faze me.
I guarantee that you gon' regret it, remember I said it.
No, you could get it.
What you saying, I can't win?
No, devil, nice try, so until we meet again.
I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't religious or superstitious, but we've been getting fucked up, put to the side like a mistress. Police patrolling why? Because prison became a business. They murder one of ours and they start talking about forgiveness. We think that it's alright because we got public assistance. If this ain't hell, dog, what is this? Where was all lives mattered when they killed Osama? There was no peace talk like the Dalai Lama. Bush dropping bombs saying he gon' bring the drama. They got justice, man, they even caught the Boston bomber. But when we ride, they send the military in armor. When we fight oppression, then our people die a martyr. You reap what you sow, some people call it karma. When Christ return, y'all gon' get this harvest like a farmer. Don't tell me don't bring up the past no more. They still trying to settle the score with a side of Shakur. I changed my life and I'm just trying to live life right. But at night I look behind me and see flashing lights, patting me down. You got nothing that's poking me right. I don't smoke or push pills, I gave up my vice. So Mr. Officer, why you wanna take my life? And Your Honor, why you gave a homeboy's life? I've been wondering why you shot a homeboy twice. Pussy with a gun screaming out that he got a knife. He came from Habibi's spot, it was chicken and rice. Shit's trife, I'm just giving visuals like Skype. As Trayvon, Mike Brown, a Kai Gurley, Eric Garner, Sean Bell, Philando Olden, Sterling, Jaquan McDonald. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. I pray for the demise of the devil. Lord knows I despise every devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. Said I pray you die every devil.
Guess
Nobody tells you cry. You know why? Because I never saw you before. But you're a black man like me. My whole life is trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues, but it's guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad nigga habit that's already turned from oppression. Feel like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good record. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good ship. Plus when you in hell, how did you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord? Got a tongue like a two-edged sword, with a style that they might just record. The only thing equal is the curse for the wicked and the righteous reward. Have mercy on the many, don't see it. Separated from the tares, now on my prayers, and it's so big. A rebel, take the world by word of mouth. U.P.K, we the rebels that you heard about. Yeah. And it ain't gonna stop till 100 virgins in the house and I'm handing verdicts out. Yeah, rank, you ain't heard a clout without a shadow of a doubt. These devils hitting licks off us. Fuck the bank, I'm about to slow the pocket, take it off us. Can't sweet talk, cannot stop us. And plus I know the fans watch cause I tell the people that they church full of witch doctors. Put us in prison and stop violence. Meanwhile, U.P.K turning rebels into rock wallers and leave a mighty men. And now I understand things that never truly made sense. Like why I'm crying that this through the roof for a criminal, knowing you ain't innocent. It's fucked up. But my boot shot, standing between two priests, about to blaze on their ass, call it tough love. Look out for niggas just love, and wouldn't touch a white bitch with OJ's black gloves. Father, forgive me for my error. I'm forever by your side, clean and purged me of all my flaws. This the reason I'm alive. Thank God for this truth, cause for a long time was a rebel without a cause. Look, man, first time I'm making man, GEN.YAHANNA, man, here 3807. Rebel without a cause. My little daughter with me. Open the door, he was dropping the truth on me and all that. Rebel without a cause. Man, you know, you do your time, we taking them out and training that hand-to-hand combat. Rebel without a cause. It's the reason I'm alive. Thank God for this truth, cause for a long time, it's a rebel without a cause. You cannot move us. We're already dead. We're already beaten down. We've been beaten down for 400 years. We already got the wounds inside and outside our body. How you gonna hurt us? You cannot threaten us. You cannot frighten us. We live in the most frightening places, under the most frightening conditions. We are immune to fear. We are immune to harm. You see what I'm saying? You have stepped into a cesspool. You're the only one gonna get infected. West till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. One west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. They ain't scaring me. Rip the soul out of Pharisee. Speaking heresy, get you fucked up apparently. It's like they daring me. I said chill, they ain't hearing me. They ain't listening. Every bar nitroglycerin. Hit your heart, bring it back to start, make you live again. Get them dividends, so we start getting ignorant. I be on that soldier shit. I told you shit phenomenal. Nobody a domino. So what the fuck you trying to do? Rhyming comical, guess it's funny until I'm bombing you. Bring apocalypse to the pussy niggas to pop and shit. See my all-stars, I coach them up like a Popovich. Fuck the politics and the lobbyists and apologists. They vagina, so we gon' check them like gynecologists. It's kinda obvious how the situation is ominous. The way your vomit is and regurgitate for the audience. They start applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. The flow been stupid, shit's gotten retarded since. All the dominance, one west rising and prominent. Cause I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death bury me. When a nigga quiet, mute my maneuvers. But I ride like I got group five for Uber. Rhymes hard like they've been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few to sit up in your medulla. Avocado for the ricotta, niggas wildin', they win every dollar. They riding by black Apollos like the semi-holler. A showstopper, then the top is the titty bopper. But now I'm going up a tone and creamy on my vodka. I put his teachers on the clock, modify the chopper. It's more heavy, more ready, and let's work the mama. The marijuana say I got the loudest silence on it. When I'm up on it, ain't no rapper do it like I do it. A lot of spitties and writers, but when they eat songs, none of them can get to the fire. But right with me, and I had a nigga spill like a tire. Had a deep, and I'm still dope as a paper. Every bar burn hard like a spoon with a lighter. Food igniter, women coming through with the silence. U.P. I be going west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be going west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. We gon' change the world, we won't let it change us. Even when they switch sides and they wanna change up. Fucking with my brother, then your life in danger. Got no fear like I got one in the chamber. Since day one, we been about it, nigga. I've been going hard since the day that I found it. It's 1:44 to the day the Lord counted. I'ma keep my head up to the day that he crowned it now. Since day one, we been about it, nigga. I've been going hard since the day that I found it. It's 1:44 to the day the Lord counted. I'ma keep my head up to the day that he crowned it. They wanna fame, they wanna clout. That's why they doubt. I got them black, I want a class. And I shut my mouth. This was way before polite. Before I came to campsites. I came broken and contrite. I just wanted to live right. Clean my soul and heal my life. Had to give up all my vice. I got a fog out my head. I was raised from the dead. I put down that weed and I cut off my dreads. For before I could lead, I had to learn to be led. Now I'm a bad motherfucker. Walk around and I straight flex on suckers. No specific, I'm talking to all you busters. Straight from the gutter. Me and my brother, we the long sucker. Now, running it like a conductor. Hebrew Academy, I'm the instructor. 14 written all on my cover. Men of war like we hopped at a Hummer. What you want in my troop is a country. There is one camp, there is not another. One West, U.P.K. One West, U.P.K. One West, one West, one West, U.P.K. One what? U.P.K. One what? U.P.K. One what? One what? One what? U.P.K. Me, all, my, or yes, hold it, shit down, right here, all day. Shalom, Wagwan, Sai, Basay, is we, them niggas, Y.A.P.K, hey. We gon' change the world, we won't let it change us. Even when they switch sides and they wanna change up. Fucking with my brother, then your life in danger. Got no fear like I got one in the chamber. Since day one, we been about it, nigga. I've been going hard since the day that I found it. It's 1:44 to the day the Lord counted. I'ma keep my head up to the day that he crowned it now. Since day one, we been about it, nigga. I've been going hard since the day that I found it. It's 1:44 to the day the Lord counted. I'ma keep my head up to the day that he crowned it.
it ain't written all up on my stomach. Put it like fuck it. How bad of a bucket? Man, it's COVID, having a fun, the bitch got the plummet. They want the throne, but this shit ain't yours, so these niggas covered. If you so conscious, tell me why is your ass wearing up on it? Flow is disgusting, on West is the body, it ain't no discussion. You niggas is pussy, you wouldn't do nothing if they killed your cousin. This ain't boys in the hood, we some boys in the hood. This is one West nigga, and we wish a nigga would. Some days on these beats, my nigga, I be feeling like a sugar. Your leader's the sucker, you on the wrong side, my nigga, so tell me what's good. We don't want no cowards, they get devoured. I'm from the city where they took our towers. This world is ours, we serve a power. That's in the kill the dragon like he Bowser. These niggas sour, they wanna scour, cause we've been crushing all these fucking doubters. We met an honor, go shot from drama. Vertical walkers, they got that black llama. Pull up with armor, shit can get darker. Put you in dirt, I'm a hell of a gardener. Don't make a nigga line you like a barber. I am an arrow who come with an archer. Fuck 12, that's just the starters. Let me tell you about these feelings I harbor. I've been this way since they killed every gardener. Fuck had to lay up his mother and father. Tell me who won it? Who's my opponent? Got some, but it ain't written all up on my stomach. Put a like fuck it. How bad of a bucket? Okay, it's COVID, Babylon falling. The bitch about to plummet. Yeah. Now I'm telling you, man. They really ain't gonna believe that I got a baby in my arms while I'm doing this. Little Zahar, man, we'll be quiet, but check it out, yo. Playing spades, reminiscing on days before niggas started shooting, we would still catch fades. It's like the world's a lot scarier since crack grenades. And the only thing that we became was rats in a maze. Cause all my brother cares about is trapping and J's. Mine's fucked up from the pills and the haze. Pop said we hard-headed, stuck in our ways. So I've been praying to the most side that it's just a phase, Hardly surprised and always amazed. Especially at what's been getting radio plays, I wanna be the cataclysm of a cataclysm. Permanently and take it back to lyrics. But you know nowadays, it seems like it's forbidden. Anybody in the industry knows they ain't fucking with them. And anyone I'm signed, they wanna be outshined. So I guess it's just me, myself, and all these empty lines. I never knew that being nice would get you penalized. Once you blowing up, they wanna know your penis size. Hoes all staring, saying you got dreamy eyes. And if you ain't fake, they wanna see you demonized. If they be dropping gems and this flow is El Dorado, or Midnight Marauder, young desperado with a bravado. That's a hard act to follow. Make your favorite rapper look like amateurs at the Apollo. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Me and my vato steady painting pictures like Picasso. Feds trying to clock us like Pablo and Gustavo. Go and tell straight to the Gestapo. Hola muchacho, yo hablo español, el hombre blanco es el diablo. Now I'm going over heads like a poncho, trying to stack chips with more cheese than some nachos. Why you acting macho? Your whole clique is gato. They ain't want beef, but I'll feel it like a taco. Don't get it twisted like a rasta. Don't be bringing none of that bullshit into me casa. You ain't seen this much crack since the Contras. Billy, you're the beast, we all live inside a monster. That's why I be thanking God I'm alive, tapping into different vibes, penning more than a scribe. Every verse an open letter sent to all the tribes. Lost in the ghetto, steady struggling to survive, The things I seen with a pair of eyes got me out here living in this life desensitized. Part of the reason that I'm hardly if ever surprised. I've heard the screams of brothers that seen mothers that cried. Seen a soul leave a body right before he died. 23 years old, gunned down before his prime. While your favorite rapper only talking dollar signs. But when our people in trouble, they quiet as a mime. Every day is the struggle, I speak it through these lines. That's how I know they can't relate, I speak their daily lives. I'm representing for my nation or the lost tribes. All my people that been locked up AC 25. Cause being born a minority was their first crime. They serve and protect, choking your neck, sever your spine. They murder one of us, no guilty verdict when they tried. They wonder why they get no respect and we call them swine. Live in a time where you lose your life and become a vine. friends turn to t-shirts, corners turn to shrines. And if our leader ain't a Pharisee, then he's a scribe. Cause he ain't coming out unless he thinks he can scrape a dime. Get his name in the paper, face in the line. The world's black and white, and you better pick a side. If I wasn't strong enough, then I would break inside. But I found the truth right before I lost my mind. Sorry, mama, I promised it wouldn't change me, but I would've went insane had I remained the same me. And I know you feel the same way if they slay me. So when I say the white man is the devil, don't blame me. I'm not here to make friends, kiss babies, shake hands for politics. Yo, what's affecting all the college kids? I mean, why did the students shoot up the colleges? Newborns found in shopping bags and garbages. All these problems that nobody acknowledges. Promise you one thing, you gonna acknowledge this. Like that. Going on outside, you in the crib with the boy outside. I get it on outside, from the dust to the dawn outside. So when I'm on outside, don't catch a breath when they drawn outside. Cause it's a war outside, my sword's drawn outside. Cause that's caliber, you better be on outside. Cause it's a war outside, I get it on outside. You in the crib with the boy outside, I get it on outside. That's a definite cannonball, wrecking shit, excellent. Rhyme for rocket, bombing like the president. I remain strong, King Kong with the prevalence. I show you exactly what we do, that's how I represent. Hardcore, Everson, chain on, hella bit. Throwing all black when they spot me like the liver print. Boy, I got the braids in, shades on, made men. Cause we put the work to start the earth until it changes. Walk strong, talk heavy, hold my own. You rock solid when we about to leave the sword, the stone. Nigga, we warriors, hardcore, tracking the pride. To let it Hebrew speak, nigga, general eyes. And we talking super heavy, nigga, that's a surprise. But Lord scripture, street talk, working Captain and God, nigga, we blazing. Rippling mic with all facts, doing the knowledge to the max. Till we cracking the pavement. U.P.K, y'all the one West Harlem, nigga. We spring forward and they falling like it's Harlem, nigga. Talking to all them niggas born in the mud. If you ain't feeling this, you're cold and it's love, and that's oh, I get the cat tie, oh, they not of my kind. I get the order that is handle kind, not the one kind. Without a doubt in my mind, I'm finna stop and recline. Anybody that come against us, they should probably resign. It's a war going on outside, no man to safe from. I hate these niggas throwing shots, but can they kick some? Christ says, sell out your garments to get a sword now. I'ma go and sell out these polos to get a war now. Damn sure they started the war, but I'ma end it. Cause the spiritual war could turn carnal any minute. I remember riding back in the days window was tinted, but Salaki, I'm done with that corny shit, I repented. And they bomb-proof the booth every time I'm about to go win it. You ain't know this shit, I live for this truth and I'ma defend it. And I get my second wind just as soon these niggas get winded. There's a war going on outside. There's a war going on outside. You in the crib with the boy outside, I get it on outside. From the dust to the dawn outside. So when I'm on outside, don't catch a breath when they drawn outside. Cause it's a war outside, my sword's drawn outside. Cause that's caliber, you better be on outside. Cause it's a war outside, I get it on outside. You in the crib with the boy outside, I get it on outside.
Nobody's safe, it's a war out here. If you pussy in the streets, you a whore out here. See me all suited up in my fallout gear. 752, flip your fucking car out here. No burner, I still a break your jaw out here. No fear, if you scared, get a motherfucking pick. Or sit up in the church, you a motherfucking bitch. I give you in the verse what I give you in the clips. 32 rounds of fire, never quit. A lot of fuckery going down, so what's the purpose? Sick of hang around, these clowns get out the circus. If you cross that line, then you get lit up the worst. It's all black hearses, painted with black curtains. Docs on site with medics and mad nurses. Leave us at your verses. Go on with that counter war, ready for that bullshit. Kinda like a matador. Get this kind of focus, you gon' need some Adderall. Something just to lock you in behind them padded walls. They say I got some screws loose, and that's true too. Don't let me let them.
All right, Shalom. We're the Israelite School, Universal Practical Knowledge, coming out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. And since 1969, been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the Lord's chosen people. And according to these scriptures, the only people upon the face of this earth that the Lord gives a damn about. And of course, our oppressor, the same man that invaded our lands in 1492, and saying the same ones that stole our brothers and put them into captivity from transatlantic slave trade, the same ones who stole land and enslaved our Hispanic brothers as well, is nothing more than the devil that the Bible speaks of. Yes, and today is the Tuesday Brotherhood class. So we're going to be touching on unity between so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And specifically, we're going to be going into a story I got right here. You're saying that the title of the story is "Lawmakers Consider Withholding Housing Funds from Tribes That Discriminate Against Descendants of Enslaved People." You understand? So the story is going to be about how it is that essentially we can't come together with our so-called African American or black brothers, which our oppressor, being the devil that he is, like the title suggests, he's trying to withhold what little crumbs it is that he gives to certain tribes because of a division it is that he has caused. And so we're about to be getting into it, but I'm going to pull a scripture for you real quick, because as we read this article and really as we look into the different things it is that our oppressor has tried to instill into us as a people to divide us, we got to remember that everything these people do, there's some kind of ulterior motive behind it. And so I can already tell you this whole thing is simply just to cause division between blacks and Native Indians, just as they caused so long ago, with the Buffalo Soldiers, with hiring natives to hunt runaway slaves. And to how it is that they divided darker brothers and sisters from the lighter ones. It's all a tactic of war that it is that our oppressor uses against our people, and it's something he's going to continue to use until we wise up as a nation, until we look at our oppressor for the beast that he is and tell one another and ourselves, this man, he's up to no good. You understand? He's got some reason for trying to do this, and more times than not, it's simply to further divide us as a nation. So I'm going to read Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10 real quick. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. So, and if history doesn't, tell you this, you understand, the I.S.U.P.K will. Our oppressor, this beast that runs America, that has stolen our land from us, and that has had us beaten down and destroyed for over 400 years, is our goddamn enemy. You understand? He is the devil that the Bible speaks of. So the Lord is letting us know, which is something that should be common knowledge, to never trust these people. You understand? That's something that, some of our forefathers knew, was to never trust, this damn devil, because he's going to end up doing something to get himself up over us, and saying he's going to do something, to steal from us, to, write secret passages and treaties to steal land from us a little down the line. And so at some point, we had this knowledge of, we should watch these people closely. But now, because so many of us have become Christian, we don't really look at our oppressor and say, that man right there is a murderer. That woman right there is a liar that is looking to get me murdered out here in the streets. These people are rapists and thieves. We don't look at them and instantly think that, when history shows us that that's exactly who they are. And we got to get that Christian mentality out of our heads. Otherwise, we're going to continue to not only trust in these people, but we're going to see what it is that they do to us, and we're going to fight even harder to join to them. We're going to fight even harder to show them that it's possible for us all to be one, dwelling in unity, when it's simply never going to be the case. You understand? The Lord let us know that these people are going to have a perpetual hatred for us as a nation. And that's something that us as a people have to just accept. For like as iron rusteth. So if you don't know, shoot, iron, it rusts simply by the air touching it. And saying no matter where it is you put iron, rust is going to accumulate. And saying not only from like moisture, like most metals, but simply from the moisture in the air is going to cause for that metal to start to rust. And it's really as simple as that. So is his wickedness. So just like that iron rusts so easily, and it's prone to rusting in any kind of situation. That's the same thing with our oppressor's wickedness. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter the type of conditions it is that he is in. Our oppressor is always going to be a wicked bastard. And he's always going to take that out on us as a nation, on so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? That's why it is that he does, different underhanded things in order to not only get above us, but to turn us against one another. Because normally with this article, Slacky, that I'm about to bring out, normally would be a good thing for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come together. Normally would show, our people have been deceived for so long that we are actually one, and, that we have a common enemy and common problems in this earth. But because our oppressor is forcing brothers and sisters to do so through their legislation and, putting the crumbs on the table, putting the crumbs at jeopardy, it is that he gives us, that's going to cause strife between brothers and sisters. That's why, the tribes that are involved in this whole thing, they gotta take a step back and really analyze the situation. I'm saying, if you can't analyze the situation, then call the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. We'll tell you how it is that you should act. We'll go ahead and let you know that you're trying to fight over crumbs. Well, you will be fighting over crumbs. You'll be hating your brother because you didn't get a goddamn corner piece of some bread, of some cheese. You understand? And that's not the way to go. It's just going to further destroy our communities even more. And that's exactly why the Lord told us to never trust our enemy, because he knows exactly how our minds work. He knows that we are a carnal people. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this article. House lawmakers are considering legislation that would withhold federal funds from tribal nations who discriminate against freedmen, the descendants of people they once enslaved. So, off the jump, it's already letting us know how it is that the U.S. government is going to withhold, this, pocket change of them from certain indigenous tribes who don't look to, essentially incorporate, brothers and sisters that they had enslaved into their societies. But it's funny because our oppressor never highlights the fact that he's the one that influenced these tribes to go out and do that. Just like he sat there and influenced brothers and sisters to be slave catchers, and brothers and sisters to be buffalo soldiers, he never wants to mention how it is that he played a part in this division between these two tribes. You understand? From the tribe of Judah, so-called blacks, and the tribe of Gad, which is so-called Native Indians. And that's such, a play of the devil to go out and do such a thing. Because shoot, if our oppressor just left, the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Judah alone, when it was that my ancestors were going and, attacking plantations and freeing the slaves and incorporating them into our society, we wouldn't have this kind of problem. You wouldn't have, natives basically discriminating against blacks on such a wide scale if they didn't do their different tactics in order to divide us as a people. Because of course, how we've brought out before, our oppressor just gets absolutely terrified when he thinks of so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians coming together. Forget just natives coming together. When it was natives and blacks joining, picking up arms to go to war with one another against our oppressor, that struck absolute fear into these people. I mean, that had them writing letters back home, begging, their governments, their kings and queens, their families to send a military across the waters to crush these different communities it is that we had. That's how terrified our oppressor is of us coming together. And like I said before, normally this would be a good thing, but because our people are living in such poverty and are so destroyed, with our oppressor putting, these, or, really threatening to cut off with little funding it is that we receive in order to survive, like that alone is going to cause a lot of strife within our communities. Because that's already a big thing that we like to say is, oh, shoot, they're just, that person ain't native, they're black. They're only claiming to be who we are so they can get benefits. So they can, get government assistance and, whatever other nonsense it is that we fight over. That's type of excuses it is that we make when we shouldn't be prioritizing any of that over our brothers, over our sisters. The House Committee on Financial Services held a subcommittee hearing on Tuesday to discuss reauthorizing the Native American Housing Assistance and Self-Determination Act, a federal government program that provides assistance to tribal governments to support affordable housing and infrastructure. Included in the draft bill is a provision that would require tribes to uphold their ends of agreements made with the U.S. government and ensure full tribal citizenship rights to freed men before they can receive federal housing assistance. And that's such a sad thing. And, really it's just such a wicked thing that our oppressors done there, because it's either, I don't want to say it's either, allow blacks in or you're homeless, but it's more so going to make brothers and sisters, sit back and talk amongst one another and be mad at the fact that it's either they have to lose what little bit it is that they have in order to allow African Americans in, or they don't get, anything. They just end up homeless, and that's it. But because we are so destroyed, like, we don't realize that if brothers and sisters, whether you're black or Hispanic, come into the reservations, that's not going to do anything but benefit us as a nation. You know what I'm saying? It is more than beneficial to come together as a people and to dwell together than it is to try to exclude one another. You know what I'm saying? Because with that exclusion, we end up allowing for heathens to come in. And so that's why so many tribes have imposters within our communities, within our families, because we've allowed for someone who says their mother is Native, or that has said that they have a certain amount of indigenous blood in them to enter into our communities, and they've done nothing but destroyed our people. You understand? They brought in the drugs and the violence, the kidnapping of sisters, the raping of sisters, all of that. And not to say that it's strictly them, but for the most part, we already know the hand that it is that our oppressor plays in our destruction. And so, of course, you got brothers and sisters who are actually Native that play a part in it, but that's nothing compared to the role our oppressor plays. You understand? That's why we got to look past, this little bit of funding, or, what little bit of land it is that we'll lose. You understand? We lose land every other day to our oppressor, whether he is out here stealing it to build something, like his idiotic wall, or to build an oil pipeline, or to just take it to, do whatever things it is that he desires. Because at the end of the day, what America says is ours, saying how does they say we have our own land, our own resources, our own constitutions. At the end of the day, none of that means anything to America. You know, America can go and do whatever they please to our land or our people, no matter what is in our Constitution, as well as what is in their Constitution or their laws. That's why they can get away with so many things when it involves our people. And so let those brothers and sisters have, you know, a little bit of land. Let them get them a crib out on the reservations. Let them be around their brothers and sisters so they can go back and tell the ghettos how it is that natives live in the same conditions as them. You know, saying, as the brothers in the ghettos. Let them go back and let it be known how it is that we are a similar people. All right, this is book of Ezekiel, chapter 37 and verse 16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. So this is talking about the children of Israel and when it is that we were split as a nation. You know what I'm saying? You got the northern kingdom and you got the southern kingdom. Right now it's going over the southern kingdom, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. And of course, this right here is the northern kingdom, which is the so-called 10 lost tribes of Israel, so-called Hispanics and native Indians. And the Lord is letting it be known to write on one stick Judah and the brothers and sisters that were dwelling with them, and to write Ephraim and the tribes and the brothers and sisters that were dwelling with them. Verse 17, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. So just like we were separated then into two separate kingdoms, and say into I guess you damn near say two peoples who follow their own ways. It's the same thing it is that we do today. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people don't consider blacks and Hispanics as part of our nation. How a lot of us even view the different indigenous tribes throughout all of North, Central, and South America as completely separate, nations of people. We don't view one another like, we are the same. And that's the same thing that was going on back then. But the Lord is letting it be known that we are going to come together as a people. It's no longer going to be, you're black, you don't belong within the reservations because you're just going to try to reap our benefits. You're saying you're just going to, try to, grow marijuana because, we're a sovereign nation, or, whatever the hell it is we try to come up with to make as an excuse as to why it is that brothers and sisters can't be one with us. But we'll no longer be able to say those kinds of things because we'll come to a realization that at the end of the day, we are one people. You're saying we're going to put away all that colorism, all that tribalism. We're going to put away the different names it is that we've accumulated over the past 100 years. It's like a couple hundreds of years. And we're going to realize, hey, that's my brother. You understand? That's my sister. These are my kinsmen according to the flesh. And we're not going to have a choice but to realize it and accept it. You understand? And when we look at what's going on nowadays in the news, That's going to be a big wake-up call for us as a nation, as a people, because we aren't going to have a choice but to be like, damn, you understand? Hey, them brothers in the ghettos, they're living in the exact same condition. You understand? Their history that has been dug up on the plantations, it matches up with, you understand, the different indigenous tribes all across the Americas. You understand? We're not going to be able to ignore it anymore, but the Lord is going to reveal it to us as a people, and he's going to reveal it to the whole earth. And when that day comes, it is going to be a beautiful day for so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and such a terrible one for our oppressor in these different heathen nations. It's lucky. This is a fight that's about fairness and equality. Rep. Maxine Waters, chairwoman of the House Committee on Financial Services, said at the hearing, for one minority group to discriminate against another minority group cannot stand. And as chair of this committee, I don't intend for it to stand. And don't let, this, Maxine Waters is a sister, of course, but don't let her, being the damn near the leading force behind it. Don't let that fool you into thinking that, she's the mastermind behind it all. You understand? The mastermind is, of course, our oppressor. Because the only way that this is gonna, that this was allowed is because our majority of our oppressors agreed on it and put it into fruition. But that sister is absolutely right when she says, for one minority group to discriminate against another minority group cannot stand. Because as a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, like, it makes no sense at all for us to be coming against one another when our oppressor is destroying us every single day in, our own communities. So it's lucky. And so when he oppresses us in all of our dwellings, like, it's really that slave mentality, to have one slave fight another and to keep them divided so that they never unify. It makes no sense whatsoever. But that's part of the tactics it is that our oppressor uses in order to keep us separate as a people, in order to keep us warring with one another so that we can never realize who our real enemy is. And saying, with that said, I'm speaking strictly of so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You know what I'm saying? I understand Arabs, Asians, Africans, East Indians. I understand all of them are minorities in this country, but at the end of the day, they are not our people. You know, we sit there and we say, stop the Asian hate, trying to join hand in hand with these people. But at the same time, when have the Asians ever came up out of Chinatown and said to stop, the oppression of the Native Americans inside the reservations? When have they ever taken even a fraction of the riches it is they've accumulated from Chinatown to put into the reservations to help get us out of poverty? You understand? These heathens, they stand up for their own. You understand? These minorities, the Asians and Arabs and all of them, they'll cause hell for their people, but they won't do none of that for ours. Matter of fact, they reap the benefits from our people as well, just as our oppressor does. It might not be on as of a massive scale, but at the end of the day, they still do. That's why when you go to all the border towns outside of the reservations, there's always a goddamn, Asian spot that can't wait to sell us some cat and dog. Can't wait to sell us some goddamn bats for us to eat so that they can make a pretty penny. And we think we're getting plugged for cheap for some, steak or beef or chicken, when it's simply not the case. And so when the Africans and the Arabs go and set up shop not only in the border towns, but as well as in the reservations, selling us, just faulty products and overcharging us, like they aren't worried about the condition of our people. They aren't focused on trying to uplift us, but rather help their own, no matter where it is that they're at, whether they're in America, whether they're over in Europe, or back in their homeland. So we got to start worrying about us as a people. Start worrying about only Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Instead, hell, you could even just worry about the different indigenous tribes, and that's going to lead into us caring about our brothers, so-called Hispanics and Blacks. Because when we look into what it is that's going on in our own communities, we're going to see that it's the same thing that's happening in the Black and Hispanic communities. We're going to see the exact same thing. And then we're going to try to do like a joint operation to spread awareness, you understand, to come together and to pool resources so that we can, fix whatever problems it is that we have. It's the same things that we did, back during the times of slavery, that we did back during the times of civil rights. It's the same thing. We just got to stop allowing for our oppressor to deceive us the way that he does. One second. All right. I'm going to continue in the article. Freed men have long fought for their rights. The history of the freedmen dates back to the early 1800s. By that time, some wealthier citizens from the 5 tribes, the Chickasaw, Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole, had started to enslave African Americans, a practice they adopted from white settlers in the Southeast. So they're letting us know how it is that, something that is so destructive to our people, it's something that we had gotten from our oppressor, like many things. And so a lot of, the things it is we do throughout our daily lives, a lot of that we got from our oppressor, that we adopted from him, at some point throughout history, which is why we got to look at things, so carefully when it comes to not only analyzing history, but as well as our culture, our customs, and, our way of life altogether. I'm going to go to Psalms 55 and 21. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 55, and verse 21. Slacking. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. So just like when our oppressor came to, specifically these 5 tribes, and let them know how it is that not only could they become wealthy off of the backs of their brothers and their sisters by, forcing them to become slaves, but they also found a way to persuade brothers and sisters to go out and to, hunt those who have, escaped plantations. Not only did they, encourage them to go out and buy, but as well as to hunt. And, America has done such a, great job of dividing us simply by, persuading one tribe to come against another. Simply by telling those 5 tribes, like, hey, these people, they are great workers. You understand? They can, build your towns, your cities. They can farm your land. They can tend to your animals. You understand? They can do all of that. And meanwhile, you can just sit back, relax, not have to worry about anything. All you have to do is make sure that you hunt these people down for us. You understand? Make sure that, you at least sell a couple of them back to, their previous owners, so that they don't miss too much of a profit. But other than that, you could have an easy life living off the backs of these people. And that's the type of things it is that these devils, said. It's something so simple, but because of what we went over in the beginning of how it is that we fight over crumbs, those brothers and sisters living back then were, of course, not in any better of a position. And we already know how it is that different. Actually, before I bring that point up, I'm going to continue to read in the scriptures. But war was in his heart. Since our oppressor, even with him trying to, make the lives of so-called natives easier by encouraging them to be slave hunters and, to keep slaves in their communities to help build things and maintain whatever it is they needed. Then not only that our oppressors do that, but behind closed doors, you understand, all that was a ploy to get the tribe of Gad and the tribe of Judah to further separate. You understand, because before, like runaway slaves would incorporate so well into the native communities that we were building, strongholds. You understand? We were producing, such terrifying communities in the eyes of our oppressor that, like we said before, like these people were sending letters back home to their countries begging for armies to be assembled and sent across the ocean in order to crush whatever communities we have built. And that's that type of mentality it is that our oppressor has always had when it comes to us as a people. And saying you ain't got to worry about, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians coming together when you do these different things to just simply divide them from the start. And the same way it is that our oppressor talked these 5 tribes into not recognizing so-called African Americans as their brothers, as their family, it's the same thing that he's doing today. You know, so just as he's sitting there and saying, "Oh, well, you got to stop discriminating against these African Americans that your people had as slaves. You got to incorporate them into your societies so that not only they can have better lives, but so that you can as well." You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, behind closed doors, they're telling one another, shoot, if we force them to do this or that, and they decide not to, you know what I'm saying? And when we cut off the funds, make that a condition, like these people, they're gonna absolutely hate the African Americans that registered as, a native from that tribe. They're gonna absolutely hate their guts. They're going to, be discriminating against them even more because they put their crumbs in jeopardy. I said, our oppressor knows how it is that we think and operate as a people. He knows that for every single tribe, not just so-called natives, not just so-called blacks, but he knows it just as well for the Hispanics. So this is a man who has been at war with us for over 400 years. Don't think that he hasn't kept records of ways that he's conquered our people and persuaded us to benefit him. Let's time check. We're going to drop that and continue in this article. We're going to skip down 2 paragraphs from where we left off. After the Civil War ended, the 5 tribes agreed to abolish slavery and grant freedmen tribal citizenship rights under treaties signed with the U.S. government. But in practice, freedmen were often denied those rights and excluded from the tribes. To this day, they face hurdles to tribal enrollment, voting, and access to federal services, among other issues. Over the years, freedmen have challenged discrimination and fought to protect their treaty rights through various legal procedures. Let me get a scripture for you real quick. I'm going to go to Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Slovakia. Actually, let me read these last 2 paragraphs real quick. The Cherokee Nation is the only one of the 5 tribes that currently recognizes and guarantees the citizenship rights of freedmen. Its Supreme Court ruled earlier this year that the tribe must remove the phrase "by blood" from its constitution and other tribal laws, and in May, Interior Secretary Deb Haaland approved a new Cherokee Nation constitution that explicitly protects freedmen rights and citizenship, while the Choctaw and Muskogee or Creek nations signaled recently that they were considering changing their constitutions to allow freedmen to become full tribal citizens. They have not yet made a firm commitment to do so. All right, now let's go ahead and go to Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. He's saying, because from all of this, really it's the Lord showing us, that we only have one choice, and that is to simply come together. Because, at the end of the day, no matter what it is that, these tribes or these brothers and sisters decide to do, whether it is allowing for freedmen or, not allow for them to come in, our oppressor is going to do what he wants. If he wants to cut off the funding because his kingdom is hurting from COVID-19 and from the Delta strain that is about to sweep through this country, you understand, if his resources get low due to the fact that he has Hispanic brothers imprisoned in them ICE concentration camps, you know, if he wants to cut off funding due to any kind of reason, he's going to do so. It don't matter how much we hate our own. It's the same thing that brothers and sisters went through back then during the time of, the Trail of Tears, during the time of, the different relocations that we were forced into. It didn't matter how much we oppressed our own, like our oppressor still did as he pleased. And it's the same thing today. Ain't nothing changed. But this is Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. So just like America is trying to force the five tribes to accept the freedmen. One thing we gotta realize is that's going to happen regardless. You understand? Us as a nation, we're going to have to come back together and to be that one stick, as it is that we had went over in, what was that? In Ezekiel. You know what I'm saying? We're no longer going to be two, manner of people just doing our own things. We're going to have to put our differences aside and come together in order to face our common enemy. That's our only choice. I know, our so-called leaders would like to sit there and say, well, we got other options, or that we're all going to be one under the sun and the moon, which that's just a way of saying to love our oppressor. I know they say that, but at the end of the day, history shows that our oppressor is always going to hate us. And with us coming together with the other 11 tribes, it's going to do nothing but benefit us as a people. You're saying we're the ones that have built and made this continent, this earth, as great as it is. So when we start to actually come together and pull what little resources we have, you understand, and we pull the brains of this earth, you understand, the physical, the top physical nations of this earth, and really the blessings it is that we have received from the Lord. And when we put all those together, like this earth is going to see something they've never seen before. They said not only that, but we're going to see America crumble. They said America thinks that they can simply cut us off from, what little bit it is that they give us, and we would fall apart, which really without the Lord we would. But when we come together and dwell in unity and in brotherhood, there ain't no nation out here that can touch us, that can harm us with their weapons of war or their different doctrines and philosophies. None of that, because we'll have the Lord on our side. All we got to do is to simply come into the I.S.U.P.K and the Commander GEN.YAHANNA. That's all we got to do. And then we can learn that, how it is that we can come together. We can learn to put differences aside and to put beefs from the past aside in order to face our common enemy and in order to serve our purpose in this earth, which is to serve the Lord. It's something that is so simple, but because our oppressor is the devil that he is, it's something that we can't even fully grasp as a nation. We're going to go to the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 31. This is the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. And this is, specifically for this story. And of course, it's something that a lot of us can take and incorporate into our lives. But, those 5 tribes should take in those brothers and those sisters like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just another day. Because I know damn well that if America, has sat there and stopped recognizing them as a federal tribe, that they would be fighting tooth and nail to get back into America's good graces so they can receive the crumbs it is that they have been receiving. I know damn well that if something was going on with that tribe, that they'd be turning to, blacks and Hispanics to, not only for help, but so that it can be recognized that our struggles are indeed the same, that we are indeed the same people. But sadly, that's just something that we realize when, we ourselves are going through hell, when we are suffering. And that's kind of that selfish mentality it is that we have to get out of. And we expect for brothers and sisters to see what's happening to us and to speak up and to do what it is that they can to help, when we have to do the same thing for our so-called black and Hispanic brothers. We can't just idly sit by and allow for them to suffer, just a tad bit more than us, when we could play a part in relieving some of that. You understand? Each tribe, black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, 12 tribes of Israel, we all have a responsibility of looking out for our people, for looking out for one another. Don't allow for these different bywords it is that our oppressor has given us to divide us. I'm saying, because at one point, we were all viewed as the same by our oppressor. And so our oppressor viewed Hispanics and natives as niggas at one point. You can even, plenty of brothers and sisters can go to their grandparents and hear how it is that they were called niggas. You understand how it is they were called, red niggas back in the day, and how it is that they were discriminated against just as blacks were discriminated against. Hispanics were discriminated against the same as, blacks and natives were discriminated against. Like it's all the same. We just got to stop allowing for not only America to deceive us, but we got to stop allowing for our leaders to deceive us, to have us thinking that we are not the same people. We gotta stop all that, and we gotta come back to our true identity and knowing who it is that we are as a nation. I'm saying that's truly, the only way that we're going to come up out of this condition. So with that said, we're going to get into the security announcements. Oh, me. Oh, lucky. This is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started out of 1 West 125th Street, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, which is a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or a war scarf. And with that said, Imajim, which means to stand. Wapani Haki Dam, which means to turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Avanawa, Shabashamayim, Quadash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwithka, Thaba'ah, Ratazayaka, Haya, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'aratazah, Kawar, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lenawa, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kawaba Wathanawa, Kasalakanawa, Kawaba Wathayanawa, Wala'a, Dabayayanawa, Banasai 1, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Waha'ala, Wataparith, Lawalemyam, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. The prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barak atah Yahweh, wa Yahweh Shai, wa Yaka'ala, wa Alahayim, matazab Ya'ah, alawap Yahanna, ha alawapyam, hazaranyam, ha kwatazayanyam, ha kayayayam, wa ha'akwathian, Yahweh, ba Hashem Yahweh Shai, the water Aman. Prayer for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. Sar, which means to turn. I'm going to give a salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim Barak, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Atum, as a matah. I'm going to give a courteous salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al Thumba Hashem Yahweh Shai. As a matah, class dismissed.